and welcome to the F1 Esports Series Pro Championship presented by Aramco. It's the final qualifying show of the year. The Teams Championship was wrapped up yesterday, so congratulations to Mercedes on that, but we still have the drivers to settle. Now, let me introduce you to my two guests, one of which decided to wear a Christmas jumper, the other one not. It's Mr. Nick Hamilton and Alex Jakes. Firstly, Nick, did you not get the memo, my friend?
I did get the memo, however, I moved house very recently and forgot/lost/ couldn't be bothered to find my Christmas jumper.
And it was from last year as well, your man's
It was indeed, man's not hot.
But unfortunately just didn't decide to do that. And Alex, thank you for not leaving me hanging.
I wouldn't do that to you, Matt.
No,
I wouldn't do that to you.
In the Christmas spirit.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've got the very expensive Christmas tree. I've got the not empty boxes of Christmas presents.
Oh, come on, that's the beauty of television. You can't
Are you going to open one live?
Yeah,
I think we
when
should.
we get to Q3, I'll open one live. And,
you'll be busy enough.
You've got one as well.
I have, yes, absolutely. You know, we're excited not only for, you know, the holiday season, but also...
Where did you get your Christmas jumper from?
Oh, well, you'll be able to find it. You can settle. We've got the Teams Championship already done and dusted, Mercedes, but in the drivers, we've still, I say, all to play for. 21 points between Jarno Opmeer and Freddie Rasmussen. Now, I know that's a big gap, isn't it, Nick? But at the same time, it's Brazil we've got coming up, which is very, very close.
Yeah, and anything can happen in motorsport.
Hello, nice, straight out.
Yeah,
I like that.
Anything can happen. So Freddie's got to, you know, he's got to feel happy the fact that he's in it to the last race.
Yeah.
And he's got to be performing to the best as he can. As I said, anything can happen. You might see a new champion.
How did we get to that 21-point gap? Let's take a look at what happened around Imola, as that was one of the races yesterday. And Josh Adowu had an incredible qualifying performance coming out of nowhere for the McLaren Shadow team and looked so set all the way to the end. But we will look at the first parts of the race where we had Adowu and Tanitsa on the soft tyres. Then we had a chasing pack on the mediums, and it was Lucas Blakely at that point, Alex, looking very good indeed.
Yeah, he was drawing level in the championship at this point. Brilliant battle between Tanitsa and Josh Adowu, and they were just swapping the lead as they went. It was all going to plan. Here we go, working together on those soft tyres. Don't try anything too crazy. Get yourself to the end and guard against everyone else on that alternative strategy. And then in he comes, and that really swung the pendulum back towards this lot. And then we saw the moves. Oh, you've got to be brave around Imola, haven't you? The Jarno Opmeer was.
He absolutely was, and you know, making those positions up was crucial for him towards the end of the race. We had so many different strategies going on. We had Danny Moreno still out there on the mediums and went for the aggressive strategy towards the end. Here's the onboard, Lucas Blakely. Claimed at the time it was a brake check. I think once he looks back at that, he knows that that's not exactly what Tanitsa was probably trying to do. He was on the slower medium tyre at the time.
But all of this chaos was caused by Brendan Lee going super aggressive for the undercut and creating an enormous train, knowing that he'd have tyres that wouldn't go to the end. So, strange set of circumstances. But that was heartbreak for Lucas Blakely because the damage incurred then meant he couldn't fight anyone else and dropped to the 10th position.
It just shows, doesn't it, Nick? Just a small amount of damage can cost so much lap time.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as real life, really. Any slight touch, and that could be the end of a barge board or whatever, and lose a lot of time. And wow, that's on the limit, isn't it, from Brendan Lee? And I'm surprised we didn't hear any radio anger from Jarno Opmeer about that.
No, but he continued to concentrate and carry on, did Jarno Opmeer, and he got past Brendan Lee eventually. Brendan then fell back, as you can see, down to 8th at this point. Penultimate lap of the race. Josh Adowu had one final tour of the Imola circuit, but unfortunately Tanitsa had a great run on him, and maybe, I don't want to take away from Josh's performance because it was brilliant, a little bit of an inexperience there, Alex?
Potentially, because tactically it was always going to be about having the DRS on the last lap, because it put you in best position to do what David Tanitsa did there. Overall performance, though, for Josh, absolutely outstanding. Turn up, put it on pole, and a few corners away from winning it, but David Tanitsa's race.
Yeah, it was a brilliant drive from Tanitsa. Shame for Adowu, but there is your top 10. And Jarno Opmeer getting a great amount of points there, especially with Lucas Blakely all the way down in 10th, but Freddie Rasmussen was still there in P3, followed him home.
He did come from 15th on the grid to finish there, didn't he?
He did.
So that was, I would say, one of the best, definitely one of the best drives of the day / of the season to be able to do that at Imola.
Absolutely. And of course, Freddie Rasmussen did a good job. But as we take a look at the second page, Marcel Kiefer had an incident and ended up finishing last. So there was no points from Marcel, and it just felt like, of course, with Red Bull not now confirmed winning the championship after Brazil, would Marcel maybe look back at the season and think, what if?
Yeah, it's definitely not to the level that he would expect from himself. He's made life a little bit difficult for himself sometimes with lackluster performances in qualifying and not necessarily being right there in the race. So yeah, I mean, maybe if he could have performed a little bit better, it might have given Freddie a bit more support.
Now, after Imola, we went to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico. Let's take a look at what happened there yesterday. And it was Freddie Rasmussen on pole. Very interestingly, the top three all started on the soft tyres to just get that extra half a car length off of the start, and it proved crucial. Despite them going 3 wide into turn number 1, they all stayed ahead of the 17 other cars that decided to start on the mediums, which was crucial for them to then try and pull away.
Yeah, it was an amazing start from Jarno Opmeer, actually going from P3 to P1 by turn 1 and maximised that slipstream straight away. And you can see fighting super hard with Barry Buremond, who's been fantastic this year, I've got to say. Lucas Blakely was sort of struggling, I would say, with a late move, trying to come through the field. He knew at this time he needed to get as many places as possible, didn't he, Alex?
Yeah, he really did. Fantastic drive, knowing realistically that the title had slipped away, to be as precise as he was. That was a great response, because it would have easily just drop your shoulders and, you know, phone it in at this point. But that's not in his nature. So good move there. And then we went back to the battle at the front of the field. The three of them again glued together, but ticking into the final stages. Barry Burman taking the lead. But they're all thinking about the position that you're going to be in on that last lap. This is Lucas Blakely fancying more overtaking action. Once again, close to Marcel Kiefer. Once again, positioning the car right on the limit of track limits and finding a way by.
Yeah, Lucas was a man on a mission during this race. He knew that his championship had kind of gone down the drain after Imola and finishing P10, but he still wanted to put on a show, and this was the fight. So close with Freddie Rasmussen and Barry Burman to ending up in the wall there, but just about managing to miss out. Jarno Opmeer taking the lead at this point. Freddie Rasmussen then picking up a penalty for the way he went back past Barry off track, and that unfortunately cost him a place at the end of the race. But at this point, we didn't know that was happening, and Freddie got let by Jarno Opmeer, who was playing the DRS chicken game. At this point in commentary, I thought the gap was a little bit too big, and I think Jarno, especially in the post-race interview, said the same. And Freddie leaves the door open on the inside there.
Yeah, I don't feel like he defended hard enough almost. So he almost pulled over to the left-hand side to give Jarno the space that he needed. But yeah, I mean, what an amazing drive from Jarno. He's just so clinical, isn't he, as a driver?
He really is, and that result meant that the Mercedes were teams champions, as they are now 283 points to 233 of Red Bull. There's still maybe a small fight between FDA and Alpine for P4, and if McLaren have an incredible performance, especially with Barry Buremond at the wheel, maybe they'll be able to salvage something in this final Brazilian Grand Prix coming up later. Now, there's the drivers' standings, 21 points between Jarno and Freddie. Lucas still somehow may be able to get P2, but the fight, of course, is at the front. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, Alex, Brazil, it's a very short track. We've seen in the past, I mean, we will take a look at the clip a little bit later, but how many times we saw a different pole sitter at the end of the qualifying session. We could easily see a shock exit in Q1 or Q2.
Yeah, absolutely, because the margins are going to be ridiculous around Interlagos, and Jarno Opmeer, for I think 3 or 4 races this year, has failed to get out of Q2 and make it into Q3. So the problem for Jarno is, you know, you're going to play it safe. But if you play it safe, that's going to get you out of Q2. If you make a mistake, if you have one lock-up, that can get you out in Q2. So it's not done yet, and we've seen plenty of action in Brazil through the years. So this is F1 Esports. We count no chickens.
It's going to happen. Let's take a look at the social media roundup, which we'll put up on the screen behind us. And there was plenty of reactions after the last couple of races yesterday. Lucas Blakely being the first of them, going for a very solemn picture there in the bottom. But of course, it was a bit of a heartbreaking day for him. Was looking strong to fight for P1 at Imola until he was brake checked. He put that in inverted commas at turn 4. Wing damage meant P10. Mexico gave it all, passing the train with huge sense to get P6. Can't win the title. But, you know, that kind of shows that, of course, it's a little bit of disappointment that he's not winning the drivers, but at the same time, he's taken such a huge step forward this year, Nick, that he can be proud of that.
Yeah, I'm super impressed with Lucas. He's really applied himself, improved himself dramatically from last season, and he looked like the man to beat at the start of the season, all the way through to pretty much halfway. It's just a shame that he's fallen at the final hurdle, but he should be proud to be in the top 3 at least this year, and hopefully he could get P2.
He definitely should. Let's take a look at the next tweet, and this one is from Ben, who works for the Mercedes team. Unreal first year, a lot of bumps along the road, but we worked through them all to be where we are now. Super proud of my guys, Jana Watmir and Danny Moreno. Let's get the double tomorrow. And of course, he probably left out Bono Huis as well, which is of course another driver in there. But I mean, they can be super proud, can't they, Alex, about how they've just, despite all the setbacks they've had, especially Jarno in qualifying, for example, they've worked as a team and managed to make the most of this such close season.
Yeah, really close. I think one thing that they'll be really pleased about is that they didn't panic when the chips were down, and they worked well together. Yesterday we heard Danny Moreno going, "No, I'm faster, let me go," and yet he did obey the team orders, the team instructions, and they've worked really well together. It's been a nice dynamic between Otmir and Danny Moreno as well. So that's a team working in harmony, and a happy team is usually a winning team. They've proved that.
Absolutely. Next up, we have the Red Bull Racing Esports team. The Bulls gave it everything all season long and will only come back stronger. Yeah, of course, a bit of a shock to the system for Red Bull. They haven't won the team's title despite winning the last 2, and they're going to have to go back and regroup a little bit. Yeah,
I think I don't really want to give Marcel Kiefer too much stick, but he's used to being right up the front with Freddie. Freddie's been super consistent, hasn't he, all the way through his career, and Marcel, I think, maybe let himself down a slight bit, which means that the Red Bulls didn't get as many points as they usually get. But yeah, I think they're going to come back stronger, 100%. And if any team can come back stronger, it's going to be Red Bull.
And we have one last tweet from Joni Tormela. What a race in Imola. It went from P17 to P4, Alex. And we just kind of, obviously, we focused on a lot of other things.
All we did is talk about that, all right? I don't want any accusations that we might have missed Johnny's amazing drive through the field. But what a performance. And, one thing to go on a different strategy, another thing to pull it off. And P4 from 17th on the grid. I think that just sums up F1 Esports all the way through this year. And if you perform on the day, you're going to get your rewards, and he did. P4 is outstanding.
OK, moving on from what happened yesterday, let's take a look at Brazil. And if you're wondering how to go around it really badly, take a look at this. The final race of the year at Interlagos, the Brazilian Grand Prix. I absolutely adore this circuit. And what a qualifying session we had last year in F1 Esports, where I'm pretty sure about 6 different people took pole right at the end of the session as we head into turn 1, brake just after the 50-metre board. And you have to be very careful for track limits through here. That white line you have to obey, otherwise it will put your lap time in the bin. Now down a small straight with DRS wide open, brake just after the 100-metre board, down to 4th gear. Keep the momentum as much as you can, but don't run wide like I just did, because that will invalidate your lap time. It just shows how difficult it is to get a mega lap in whilst also obeying track limits through that long right-hander now, then into this very tight, quite difficult right-hander. Then this left-hander as well is very difficult to get on the power. Maybe a small overtaking opportunity into this right-hander if you get a good exit compared to your competitor. This left-hander might be a little bit difficult with worn tyres towards the end of the race, then brake just before the 50-metre board for what I'm going to say is the final corner, even though it's probably the penultimate one. Yonkau, I believe it is. It's where Is That Glock happened and Hamilton won the title. Open your DRS, keep it as tight as possible to the white line on the left, and there you have a lap at Brazil. Oh, amazing. I did not think they were going to keep the wee in, but they did. Here is the driver lineup then for the final qualifying session of the year. All right, Nick. We have Timon Schutter for Alfa Romeo, or Schutt, I should probably say, for Alfa Romeo team. Who else we got there? No one particularly new, although Aston Martin, we've got Daniele Haddad again. Of course, you're a big fan of Daniele Haddad, aren't you, Nick?
I am indeed.
You're going to be using him, apparently, to improve your own skills.
I didn't say that, did
You
I?
actually did. I'm quoting you. Actually, FDA, we have not got Tanitsa, we've got Domenico Lavecce for the final race, and that could prove interesting because there's a fight between FDA and Alpine in the Teams Championship. Second page, we have we have Alessio Di Capua getting another shot in that Williams team alongside Alvaro Carreton. Alvaro, we need to see a better performance from him. He has so much pace, but he just hasn't been able to provide that in a lot of qualifying sessions this year. So not interestingly as well, despite Mercedes, wrapping up the title, no shot for Bono Huis, which I find a little bit sad. I would have liked to see Bono have at least one outing, but a few driver changes for this qualifying session.
Interesting how some teams have decided to rotate the strike and Bono Huis can't get a drive, but I suppose when you're team champions, they know what they're doing.
That's very true. Yeah, I'm sure he's fine, Bono, that he's part of the winning team.
Yeah.
Any sort of notable drivers there, Nick, of changes? And we've got, as I say, Lavecce for Ferrari. That's a new one.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think it might be good for Ferrari to try someone different. Everybody knows David Tonitza is a strong driver. Did a great job yesterday, didn't he? And but I think the biggest surprise for me is Michael Romanidis not being in the seat for today, who I thought did an amazing job yesterday, especially in Mexico, getting into Q3. But let's see what Alessio De Capua can do in his replacement.
Absolutely. So let's take a look at the Joyas. Let's introduce them once again, the end of year awards. And first up, we have the Rookie of the Year. And well, there wasn't actually that many drivers to pick from because Barry Burman does not actually classify as a rookie because he had one shot with Mercedes the year before. But it goes to Sebastian Job, and there he is, racing away, intensity at its finest. And he's had some great performances this year, not particularly consistent throughout the entirety of it, but certainly deserving of Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be consistent all the way through the year in your first season. I think he's showed some really, really strong pace, a couple of top 6 finishes in qualifying and in the races. So I think he's fully deserved of that as well.
And last year was Danny Moreno won Rookie of the Year, and look how he's gone. So maybe setting a trend for the future.
Decent springboard, especially when you consider the team he's with. Maybe he'll attract other attention, maybe go higher up the ranks, but he's been solid, really solid rookie season. I think he's done everything they could expect him to do in campaign year 1.
Next up, we have Race Performance of the Year, and I think there's no surprises that is going to be going to Mr. Jarno Opmeer around China from 14th all the way to the back of the field on intermediates, of course, with those changeable conditions, and then winning the race. How sensational was this, Nick?
Yeah, it was pretty mind-blowing, to be fair. Just shows his class and his understanding as a driver, understanding of the game, of himself as well. And he always puts himself in positions that other drivers don't, and that's where, I think he takes those risks and comes out on top, and it looks absolutely spectacular. So, yeah, good job for him. And, yeah, it doesn't surprise me, really. Great job.
Jarno actually called it, didn't he, the a last to first challenge. How incredible was that to commentate on, Alex?
Yeah, very, very impressive from Jarno Opmeer. I think the thing for everyone else, though, when he puts that performance in, is he's meant to be having a bad day. And I think when a driver turns a bad day into a good day, it's even more dispiriting for the entire field trying to beat him. So not only a victory, but huge amount of momentum. And it just says to everyone else, we can never count him out. So deserved performance of the year.
Amazing. More Joyas to come. I'm sure you're all very much looking forward to that. Let's introduce a couple more guests to the show. Tech support, it is, of course, Steph and Tom. Welcome. We've actually got another Christmas jumper, but Steph, did you get the memo?
No, actually, I thought I'd join Nick in the...
Did you move house as well?
In boycotting
Christmas.
it?
Yes.
Fair.
We're boycotting Christmas jumpers allegedly now. But I'm wearing red, which is a Christmassy colour, so
You're
I'm
halfway
making
there.
up for it.
Halfway there. Tom, final quali share of the year. You've gone all out, as I can see. Thanks, mate.
Wait for it though. Hang on. What?
Oh, no.
I can't press the button. Oh!
Come on down.
Somebody's got lighted up. I'm buzzing, mate.
You kept that quiet, didn't you? You didn't put that on before the show.
No, I just thought I'd
Save for on air, that.
Yeah, but to be honest though, I do actually, hopefully, if everything goes to plan, got a lot of family functions. I'm actually going to save the battery.
Brilliant. Thank you so
Are
much.
they not rechargeables, Tom?
No, I'm very wasteful.
OK, moving on. Thank you so much for that, Tom. Steph, what's happened in previous Brazilian qualifications?
What has happened? That is the question. Am I right? Nicholas Longate was the man on pole in 2020, but we're going to look at 2019 first, allegedly, and it's David Tonitza. Now, if you were watching the quali show yesterday, you'd know that I did lay a little bit into the Ferrari guys.
A little bit's an understatement.
Shots fired!
As you can see, they were once on form and clearly have returned to form with David Tonitza's win yesterday today. So yes, we're moving on to 2020 now, and we have Nicholas Longate, who was on pole, and we're going to see that a couple of us have actually put Nicholas Longate in our front of the grid forecast, but a lot of big names up there again, both of the current Ferrari drivers, David Tonitza, Brendan Lee. So maybe I'm going to continue to reverse jinx anyone that I talk about. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot to play for, a lot of big names on there. Marcel Kiefer was up there in second, so it's going to be interesting to see of which of the drivers are going to do well in this qualifying session. It's really all to play for, which I absolutely love.
Brilliant stuff, Steph. Thank you so much. You actually mentioned the 2020 qualification. We can take a look at what happened last year because it was amazing. This is going to put him in the region of the 105.8. All he's got to do now is minimise the distance between now and the start-finish line. There is David Tonitza down in the bottom left through the gears. Can he take pole position away from Danny Beresne, who has gone fastest? He does!
Super stuff from David Tonitza. Tonitza, Beresne. Here's Marcel Kiefer in the Red Bull. Marcel Kiefer looking for pole position. He's got it! They're all improving at the end. Longate! It's absolutely extraordinary now. Look at the pace they've found. Kiefer able to celebrate for about half a second before the Renault took it away. We called him the hotlap.
Well, that was absolutely amazing. Longay, that's the phrase of that particular qualifying session. Do we expect a bit more of that today?
Possibly. I mean, he's looked capable of taking pole positions this year, hasn't he? And he should have won in Austin, so maybe you'll be shouting Longay at the top of your lungs all over again, Matt.
Well, to be fair, that was actually not even that close for qualifying either compared to what we've seen this year.
Yeah.
Right, Steph, what's the predictions looking like for this final qualifying of the year?
Well, let's have a little look. I think it's still Nick who is currently in the lead. So, do you know what? It's his championship to lose, really. That crown is still taunting every single one of us. Personally, I've gone for Lucas Blakely on pole. I think he's going to be out for a bit of blood, really, after, you know, the disappointing day he had yesterday. So, do you know what? I believe he's going to bounce back. Pole position is happening. Nick's gone for Jarno Opmeer, the guy currently in the lead of the championship. Are you sure that's not a bit too much pressure, Nick?
No, I don't think so. I think Jarno really backed himself yesterday in his interview. So I think he's going to be very, very strong. Nicholas Longay is going to definitely come out the woodwork. Freddie Rasmussen, who's always super, super consistent and always #back Barry. He's always in my top 4.
Absolutely, good stuff there. And of course, Alex, you know, he had his column for two qualifying sessions. One qualifying session,
yeah.
And you just scored 2 points straight out of the block. So, Alex, you could just take the title. If you get a clean sweep, you could be flying.
And I would expect that to happen. I'll be extremely disappointed if I don't take the title right at the end.
You'll be demanding of the crown as well, won't you? Is it in one of those present boxes behind you?
We will find out. Q3, you wait until Q3.
How confident are you about Jarno Opmeer then? You mentioned that. Of course, he did say in that post-race interview yesterday that Rasmussen maybe not looking as strong as he was last year at Brazil. Are we really expecting a Jarno Opmeer pole? Obviously, for the neutral, everyone would like to see, obviously, Freddie right at the top because he has to win, and Jarno may be having a bit of a struggle. But if you're a Jarno Opmeer fan, you're expecting a top 5, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm wishing the best for Freddie, and I want him to get as close to this title as he can. But I'm not counting out Jarno. I think he's driving out of his skin at the moment, especially after yesterday's performances, and especially after his interview as well. He looks super, super confident. So I think I'd be silly not to back him.
Yeah, so you're backing everyone now. You've got back Barry, back Opmeer, back...
Yeah, apart from you.
Oh, well, I'm not a driver, mate. Although the track guide, you might think that I am. Alex, what are we expecting?
Definitely don't think you're a track driver on the back of that.
Excuse me.
Well, you know, that was better than yesterday. That was better than yesterday.
You literally were nodding during that, going, that was actually all right.
I don't want to be too harsh, but Mexico City was a disgrace. I'm surprised they rolled that VT.
Yeah, I'm not, because there was nothing else to roll.
Who hits the wall on the track guide?
I do, to show how difficult it is.
This is what the quali show's all about. No Christmas spirit, nasty barbs. Here we go.
As you can imagine, we are waiting for qualifying to get underway and the first flying lap. That's why these two are ripping it out of me. But here we are, actually. There you go. Aww. So Q1 has begun, so I am now saved. Thank you so much. Although this is the medium tyre runs, which doesn't have a huge amount of... huge amount of... what's the word? Huge amount of... Significance. There you go. You're a commentator. Lovely stuff. Tom.
Hi.
You look very busy on your laptop, mate. I hope that's not preparing for the main show and that's all your notes for the quali show.
Guilty. No, I am. I'm excited to see how Alessio Di Capua does and Mr. Schutz of the Alfa Romeo team and Domenico Lavecce, which is a delicious dessert. See how he does. I think it's Lecce. The thing is, I am looking to see whether they can stamp a bit of a authority and a bit of a statement for next season, because we always love it with the F1 Esports series, where essentially a driver can prove how good they are. Remember back to Nicolas Longuet getting that win in Sao Paulo. So could that happen today? I hope so. Otherwise, I'll look silly right now.
Oh, you've never looked silly on this
Hey,
show.
come on.
Have you seen what jumper he's got on?
Oh, no, it's got lights. It's
Turn the
immediately
lights
cool.
on again.
Yeah.
Get the lights on.
Oh, no, we've gone full screen. Watch it.
They're on now.
Q1 is underway.
They look so good.
15 minutes and 21 seconds remaining, so plenty of time for the drivers, especially with the fact that, you know, we probably may not see the last runs till right at the end, because of course it's not that long of a lap either around here, so if you make a mistake, you've got plenty of time to go back and try again. So as we've mentioned before, every single time pretty much we've seen these medium tyre runs, a little bit of confidence building, but you know, I'm still very surprised to see FDA put Lavecce into the car, not because I don't particularly know his talent at the moment. We're going to find out in this qualifying session, but to change it at such late notice, maybe that was something they said at the start of the season. We'll give you a shot at some point. Brazil is the one that he's been given.
Yeah, maybe. But it gives him a good opportunity, doesn't it? Last race of the season to prove what he can do, and maybe he'll start in one of the main seats at the start of next year.
I heard a rumour that David Tonizza, if he got that win, he was allowed to go on holiday early. That's all it comes down to. That's a vicious rumour that I have no facts.
Absolutely, you literally made up on the spot.
I've literally just made that up, but it
So-
sounds good though, doesn't it? You win a race, David, you can have a holiday earlier.
Tom Deacon with the sauce, trust me, bro. So thanks so much for that, Tom. Alvaro Carreton is currently the fastest medium runner out there at the moment. We've got Otmir and Longuet and Donoso all in the pits. Interesting, Nicolas Longuet, you quite savagely, Nick, said he'd be coming out of the woodwork, which I don't think's particularly
No, but I didn't
fair.
mean it like that.
Oh, which way did you mean it?
No, I didn't mean it like that, Matt. I really, really didn't. And when I said it, I thought, oh, no,
You
that's
thought,
not a great
that's a bit
thing.
harsh, isn't
no,
it?
But what
That's
I
the
mean,
sort of thing that Gallagher will repeat back at me.
But what I meant is that he's not in my top 4, and then all of a sudden, bang, he's like P2 in Q3 or P2 in Q2 and looking very, very strong. So in my eyes, I don't feel like he was able
He's not
to
been a consistent
potentially-
performer, has he,
yeah,
this year? No.
but then this time I've decided, you know what? I think he's going to be strong, and he always comes up with a surprise. Is pretty much what I meant.
Yeah, and also the fact is...
Cheers, Matt.
Oh, come on, you've you've sold me down the river many times this quali season, so there's one back. But Longuet, no, I mean, as well, probably stuck in your mind is what we saw just a few moments ago, where he took pole out of nowhere at the end of last year's qualifying.
Exactly.
But it is interesting to see how the drivers' performances to and fro. Longuet, after last season, we were hyping him up and saying, oh, he could easily be a championship contender next year because he's got the quali performance, maybe hasn't been able to turn it around in the race, but it just hasn't felt like he's, again, had that consistency that he's needed to mount a challenge.
Yeah, it is. It's a shame because we know how much pace he does have. But yeah, I think it's just consistency that's cost him this year. But hopefully he'll come back stronger. And I think he's in the form of his life in terms of qualifying, because he really comes out with some good surprises. But yeah, maybe in the races just needs to improve a slight amount.
And it puts into question as well what we've discussed a few times over the course of this season, Alex, is the changing of drivers. That's what Alpine has implemented and has worked a couple of times with Patrick Sipos getting a good opportunity. If Nicolas Longuet had more run-ins, do you think that he'd maybe be in a better position going into Brazil?
Well, you can make the case either way, can't you? I guess from my point of view, I wonder how that psychologically affects Longuet. If you're coming off the back of a rough performance and you know maybe you've not got as much out of the car as he goes fastest, then that you'd really want, and then you know that you're not in the next race. And if it's a 23 race season, that's fine. But given that we have a slightly restricted calendar for F1 Esports, then you've got to wait. Then you've got to see maybe Sipos do an outstanding job with the opportunities that he's been given. And then you're just sitting on the fact that I'm not delivering and there's no momentum, and it can be difficult to build that way. Plus, there's a little bit of a pride thing. He'd see himself as the team leader there. He would have been thinking like we did, okay, few wins last year, running at the front, pole in the last race. Tell you what, win the last race, I'm going to be a championship challenger. And I actually thought he would be almost in the position that we've seen this man, Lucas Blakely, be in, where he was going to take that step forward. Lucas Blakely, I think precisely only Lucas Blakely would have said that he was going to take the step forward that he has done this year. And so it just shows, I don't know the right option there, but let's look at the team champions. They've stuck with 2 drivers all the way through. They've played their first 11, they've put their top 2 in all the way through, they've backed them, and on the bad days, they've backed them to go back again next round. So maybe 2 instead of rotating the 3 is the way to go.
Tom, you've been waving your arms around a little bit.
Oh, I just wanted to. I just feel so far away from you, Matt, and I just wanted to join in the convo. What I heard from Alex Jakes, lots of good points there. Extend the calendar. That's what I heard from Jakes. Jakesy baby said, extend that calendar. More races, yes, please. Also, what I think is interesting, Nick mentioned it earlier, not to put it on Marcel Kiefer in any way, shape or form, but it's interesting that Red Bull pretty much cemented that second place in the team championship. They can't get overtaken by Aston Martin. So why not put Liam Parnell? He's a good driver. Give him an opportunity in this last race. For me, that means Freddie's still in with the championship, so he's got a race. And for Marcel Kiefer, they've not put Liam in to give him a shot, but saying, Marcel, show us what you got. And so far, looking good for him. So I expect big things from Marcel today to prove everybody wrong that he's still a quality driver.
Yeah, I guess the one point I'd say about Red Bull in particular not putting Parnell in is because they have a very slim opportunity of winning the Drivers' Championship. So they'll need Marcel to beat Jarno Opmeer. And maybe if you put Liam Parnell in the car, you're not sure exactly how he's going to perform. So I can understand why Red Bull put their front 2 forward again for this Brazilian race.
Yeah, Kiefer's still got a big role to play, hasn't he? You never know what's going to happen, and all of a sudden, Kiefer could be the man really for Freddie to win this title. So I agree with that. I think it's the first time this year I've agreed with you, Matt.
I knew, and as soon as you said something nice, I was like, there's no way he's leaving it that way. Steph, we've got, of course, the first medium runs, the ego runs, as we've called them, the ones where they're just trying to get confidence on the table. Anything that you've picked out so far?
Absolutely nothing. No. I find it really interesting, actually, that both Freddie Rasmussen and Jarno Opmeer have opted to not go out on those runs, and they are the championship contenders. So I don't know, are they playing who's going to blink first game, or what's the vibe there? I mean, it's quite frequent that we don't see Jarno Opmeer go out until much later on in the session, but Freddie is usually, making those runs. So is he trying to get inside the mindset of the guy who's...
Love it.
Mind games, that's what I'm thinking. I like it. I like your thought train.
That's what happens with tech support. I've been told, actually, from a reliable source, my laptop, that Liam Parnell mainly was, for the team, brought on board for setup. So I was told he wasn't really going to race, and when we chatted to him earlier in the season, he said that very thing. So take back what I said.
Cool.
But I just thought I'd add a bit more information.
So you brought something wrong to the show.
So actually,
and also,
if anything, blame Marcel's fortune on Liam. That's what I was.
I've got another thing to follow up that with as well. That David Tinitz has been in the chat saying that Tom is lying.
What?
And that he's not on holiday at all.
I need to see a picture, otherwise I don't believe it.
That's 2 strikes, 1 more and you're out.
Get ready for the 3rd strike. It's coming.
Yeah, you get an early coffee. Right. Anyway, we've got some flying laps coming on right now. So let's ride on board with Brendan Lee. For the Ferrari Driver Academy, coming over the line on the soft tyres. Nick, take us around Brazil.
I'd love to. Send it into turn 1. It's a fast right-hander and then a left. Hold on to the car all the way through this left-hander. And then it's a little bit of a rest, but you've got to think about your braking point and trying to carry as much minimum speed through the left-hander. Send it in, as we do. Try not to run too wide on exit there. You can get done for track limits. And then this is a fantastic corner. Send it right. Hold on, and then another late apex, and then back to the right-hand side. Use a bit of the curb, and then maximize traction here through the left. You'll see that he uses 4th gear, not 3rd, and then into the hairpin. Easy to lock a right front. And then another hold on for dear life, left-hander, super quick through here, and then a big brake into the left-hander and all about traction here on exit. And what I really, really like about F1 Esports is you can see how he's hugging all the way to the pit wall to minimise the distance to the line. And Brendan Lee goes P2.
P2, yeah. Daniele Haddad's done a fantastic lap straight out the blocks to do a 106.294 to go right to the top of the timesheets. Barry Burman has not had a good lap. I think he may well be going again after making a mistake. Nicholas Longate, previous pole sitter. Where is he going to end up in Q1? It is P2 for Nicholas Longate. Joni Tormela continuing a good run of form, currently in P3. Simon Weigand's had a few disappointing qualifyings, being knocked out in Q1, but he's up in P4 now. As Marcel Kiefer goes fastest with a 106.161. Freddie Rasmussen, how's he doing out there? No purple sectors for Rasmussen at the moment, but looking reasonably good on this lap, as this will be his first representative lap time, and he goes P5 for now. The times are coming in thick and fast. Jarno Opmeer, P6. Crucial for him to make it through Q1 at the very least here, Nick. And he's going to have to be man-marking Freddie Rasmussen just a little bit. Danny Moreno goes P3, Jarno Opmeer's teammate. And that is quite a lot of the runs done and dusted. Blakely had a very good first sector, in fact, but did not manage to put any kind of good lap time in. A 106.5 down in 16th at the moment. Yeah,
really, really interesting. I think the lap that we went on board with, the Brendan Lee, it was only good enough for P18, which is a surprise. Means that he's going to have to go again. And yeah, there's quite a lot of big hitters, I would say, that have got to go again here. We've got Donoso in 19th, Blakely in 17th now. And yeah, so I think these final laps of Q1 are going to be very, very vital for Blakely and Brendan Lee, for sure.
Let's just take a moment to basically look at just Marcel Kiefer's lap time, a 10th clear of everyone, which is huge around Brazil. That is a fantastic lap time from Marcel, giving him a huge amount of confidence to not have to go again.
Yeah, very useful at this stage of proceedings as well, but he's always been rapid around here. He's been good in all the races. Second here last year. I think he won the Pro Exhibition race that we had earlier in the year as well. So I think he just suits this racetrack, and we're seeing it again. But as you point out, Matt, this stage of the qualifying hour, and that's a really useful time. And it gives you confidence. Less to do, less stress. And he's trying to finish this season on a high because it's not been up to the standards that we've seen in previous years for him. But at the moment, setting the standard. And who was challenging Alvaro Carreton earlier on? The call has been answered at this stage.
It has indeed. That was me. Alvaro, yeah, up in P2. His teammate Alessio P4. So Williams looking very nice indeed at the moment in this first stage of Q1.
I was just sort of thinking, Jarno is in P9. If I was him, I'd probably go again.
Oh yeah, I think he has to. 100%. I think, to be fair, with how close it is between Jarno and Alvaro, I would expect everybody, bar Marcel maybe, to go again, because we could see quite extreme amounts of improvement towards the end of this session. Donoso is going to start his lap time now.
This will be an interesting bellwether, won't it, in the entire field? Because if Donoso puts it way up the order, then Jarno Opmeer is going to shift a little bit uneasy. Because it would just show how much improvement there was late on. So, be interesting to see. This is going to give us a clue for whether Jarno Opmeer is under a little bit of pressure. And to be honest, this is the hour that I think he's most going to be worried about. Given what we've seen all season long, he knows he is world class in the races. Might be on his way to a second championship today, but he knows that this has been potentially a little bit of a troublesome hour for him. So. This will be an interesting lap. Come the end of this, we're going to know how much chaos is on the menu for Jarno Opmeer.
Absolutely. He was a 10th down of the best, was Donoso through the first sector. He's a 10th down in the middle, so he's looking around 106.3 territory as we head down this straight. Fabrizio Donoso, currently 19th with a 107.2. He's going to want to improve a lot on that one to the line. He goes over and only ends up P14. But I mean, we say that, he is 0.03 of a second behind Opmeer.
But exactly as you said, he was just losing a 10th in every sector. So he's a little bit off in every sector, but it only adds up to 14th position. So it's hardly any margin behind at all, but that's the difference. Looked a tidy lap as well. It didn't look anything obviously wrong with that one.
Absolutely not. From second all the way down to 14th is 1/10 of a second.
Just
Absolute bonkers, isn't
Just
it?
stupid.
Oh, we knew this was going to be close around Brazil, but this is getting crazy. And again, it just is just shows how such an amazing lap from Marcel Kiefer. And no surprise, he's in the pits. Caraton and Moreno have both decided not to go out the pits either. So from 4th down, we've got a lot of lap times coming. Sebastian Job, currently 20th at the moment. Did a very good first sector, a 10th down in the middle. This could get Job very much in the mix of things, as he now, all he has to do, foot to the floor, looks to the line, keeps it as tight to the left-hand side as possible, and Job comes over the line and goes P11. Crucially for Otmir, for Rasmussen, who are 8th and 9th respectively, they are not being displaced by these improving lap times.
Yeah, I think Sebastian Job lit up the rear wheels on exit there, which would have cost him a bit of time to the line, but nevertheless a good lap time. This is Lucas Blakely now. Super important lap for him down in P19. And
Fastest first sector of anyone so far.
yeah, looking strong so far. How are we looking in the middle, boys? You
All
guys
very
got
good
the,
as well. This could be right to the top of the timesheets if Blakely's clean through this last sector, which it looks to be, Alex.
Yeah, it's going to be an improvement for Lucas Blakely. A little bit of a moment coming out of Junkel corner. So let's see where it puts him as he comes over the line up to second place. That was tidy stuff. So Joni Tormala, the driver that we can't speak enough about, especially if he's going up the order in Imola. Sorry about that, Joni. And up to 4th place, really strong lap. And he's finishing in strong form. Longuet in Brazil, P1, who'd have thought it? Jarno Otmir, he's making his way, look at this, super tight, hugging it all the way, tighter to the wall for Jarno Otmir, who bails himself out of any trouble he might have been in. P4 is good enough, and we're joining the Ferrari.
Let's watch Rasmussen, though. His first sector was steady, to say the least. A 10th down on the fastest we've seen in the first sector. Lecce only manages 18th with a 106.389, the same time as Cedric Tomé. Schutnau, currently P15, is improving in the first sector, a little bit steady in the middle. Rasmussen's coming under a bit more pressure as well, down in P12, but I don't think there's enough drivers out there to improve and displace him, as Schutt comes over the line and goes P12. So right now it's Donoso out, Lecce's definitely out, Van Erven, Cedric Tomé in the pits. Brendan Lee has had a very poor first sector, so I think we may well see Brendan Lee starting from last position.
Wow, that would be such a surprise and a shame for Brendan Lee. This is him now.
down.
I think he's bailed out.
Yeah, we saw him bail out. He was over the side of the road, just coming out of turn 4, going up the hill. So Brendan Lee clearly with an issue in the first few corners of the lap, and it's cost him. And last position for a 2-time champion is bizarre, but that's what he's got to deal with. And we knew we were going to get shocks in the qualifying out. And there we are. I'd say that's the biggest one.
And Lecce has outqualified Brendan Lee, which I'm sure he'll take, although it is only 18th, and that is a shocker for Ferrari Driver Academy, who are fighting Alpine in the team's championship. Nicolas Longuet right at the top of the standings at the moment, although Donoso out, so Longuet may well be flying that flag.
Also, Leto Di Capua up in P3,
Yeah,
which is a very
great
strong
performance.
first performance for him in Q1.
Absolutely. So, as we said, the bottom 5, Donoso, Tomé, Lecce, Van Erven and Lee. So unfortunately both Hasses out as well. Tom?
Well, that immediately leads me on to say, I don't think we've had a team in the team standings get 0 points ever, but it could be happening this year with Haas. So 0 points, quite an achievement. Well done them. And for FDA, I would raise the question this year, a step backwards for FDA as a whole, as a team, or as a step forward, you would have thought, by signing Brendan Lee. Will they keep that lineup for next year?
It's an interesting one because coming into this season, I did think that FDA were looking very good. You know, they've got 2 champions in their midst. Brendan Lee, David Tanitsa. You'd think maybe this year would be the year that they can really challenge as a team, rather than David Tanitsa just winning the title but then not winning the team's championship, because they didn't have that second place sort of driver in their team to really bring in the points. But just hasn't worked out for them, has it?
Yeah, it's a real big surprise. I remember when Brendan announced that he was going to Ferrari. It was a really good thing for him. He was super excited, and I think it just hasn't really gelled for him at the moment. But yeah, what a shame for him. That's the biggest shock I've seen him qualifying last in Q1. That's something that we've never really seen before, from Brendan Lee. But it's going to be interesting to see how he picked himself up for the last race of the year.
Now, whilst we wait for the next Q2 session, we've got some more yoyas, and the next one is Overtake of the Year. And this one may not be as technically gifted, but it's the one that provided the most entertainment, and it was, of course, Danny Moreno coming out of absolutely nowhere to overtake 2 cars down into turn 1. And it was such a moment, and of course had to fend off Johanna Wattmeier, which was a big little moment there for the 2 Mercedes drivers as well. He was not willing to just let that position go, but a fair overtake of the year, Nick.
Yeah, fair enough. He was using slipstream and DRS to its maximum, and he even gave his teammate a bit of a bosh. But yeah, well done for him.
Absolutely. Next one, Hot Lapper of the Year. These yoyas just keep on going. And it is, of course, Barry Burremand. So,
hashtag.
I mean, hashtag back Barry, as we've said all year. And Barry has been unbelievable in qualifying. You know, one of the only drivers to make it through to Q3 every single time. Qualifying has been a specialty of him. We've seen it before as well. You know, he was very quick in the pre-season before that, but just hasn't been able to maybe convert as many points, because we've always said qualifying is 75% of the job. But Barry, you know, as for all the pace that he's shown in qualifying, he might be kicking himself a little bit that he's not higher up the championship standings.
I would take Hot Lapper of the Year, and I would build on it for next year, and
Yeah.
I would expect a championship campaign from that man next year.
Yeah, that's it. That's your big.
I agree with that.
No, and I would agree with that as well, because you know the qualifying, as we've said, is the key thing. McLaren Shadow, maybe as a team, haven't been able to just lock down what they're missing a tiny bit in the race. Of course, with the Daewoo coming out of nowhere, maybe they're starting to take steps forward. But yeah, it's certainly a great foundation to start on.
Yeah, for sure. He's got to be happy with his 1-lap pace, that's for sure. I was upset to see him down in, P5 was it, in the championship with quite, the points that he didn't really deserve, I would say. I think he deserves a lot more. But yeah, I think that can come next year. He's got a lot of confidence now coming through. If he maximises his qualifying, you get really good race performances.
We do love the yoyas, don't we? We absolutely love them. Yeah,
Got any
I know
more?
you.
Are there any more?
Well, you have to wait and see. You'll have to wait and see. But before we start Q2, well, actually, there you go. As if by magic, Q2 is on your screens. And we do have some drivers actually already out on soft tyres. So I think we should go to the spicy full-screen graphic time, which we don't actually have this year, but we should go full screen anyway.
I love that.
And I know, I was so devastated. But Alessio Di Capua on the soft tyres, looking very good in the first session. Tom has got his hand up. Yes, Mr. Deacon.
Yes. Fresh, hot off the press. Here it comes. Marcel Kiefer tweeted, I'm having fun out here. So look out, guys. When Marcel Kiefer's having fun, expect him to make it easily through to Q3.
Do
That's
you know what
I'm
that is? That's when you don't have any pressure on your shoulders. They've secured P2, they can't get P1. Now, just go out there, race your heart out. That's what Marcel is doing, and that's why I think he's actually going to have a good race this week.
Yeah.
Or
We'll see.
today.
Tech support, done.
You're welcome.
Tech support over and out. Amazing stuff. Thanks, guys.
I like tech support putting their hand up to speak.
Yeah, I know.
You should have seen it though. It was,
Good
you know, when you brace your right arm over your armpit of your left arm to try and maximise the length.
Amazing.
That's what Tom was doing.
Yeah.
It was
For anyone
awesome.
that didn't see that, there you go. Nick beautifully described it. So let's take a look at Q2. These are, of course, some scrubbed tyre runs, because we're only seeing 0.2s out there from Marcel Kiefer. Nicholas Longuet, 1/1000th of a second behind.
That's the preview.
Lucas Blakely, a further 5/1000ths behind. Yeah. And Danny Moreno slotting in P8 at the moment with a 106.4. And yeah, it's looking like it's going to be another one of those qualifying sessions.
Yeah, and we'd expect nothing else. It might be scrub tyre runs at the moment, but separated by 1/1000th of a second, yes. Sign me up. Yes, please. Kiefer and Longuet as well. 2 drivers who love this racetrack at the front of the field. Imagine not putting them in your top 4.
Imagine.
Imagine.
I don't know who didn't.
Yeah. We'll see.
We will see who is the champion of the most useless prediction championship of the year. Well, it'll only be useless if I don't win. So, Johanna Wattmeier, riding on board with him now. P6, has to make it through to Q2. Freddie Rasmussen, his title rival, needs to get pole position, Nick. There's nothing more there's nothing less that Freddie should be expecting from here.
Yeah, and this is the interesting thing, because Marcel Kiefer at the moment is looking like the strongest of the 2 in terms of Red Bull. And could Kiefer take away a pole position from Freddie Rasmussen, where Freddie needs as many points as he can get in this last race. So, you know, if Freddie ends up P2 and Kiefer ends up P1, then it could not necessarily go the way that Red Bull may have wanted.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure if Red Bull lock out the front row, they will be buzzing. And those two work together so well. We've seen it before in the past, in Austria, for example. And I would imagine that Kiefer will very much play the rear gunner role, even if he gets pole position. And it'll be very interesting to watch what Marcel actually does. If that is the case, does he back up the pack? Does he try and influence Jarno Opmeer's race in some way, which is, of course, fair? Steph, you were doing some wobbly arm thing.
Yeah, and then I just was told that we were coming back in vision, so I had to stop.
No, I think you should have carried on, to be honest.
Do you know what? Maybe next time.
Okay.
But what I was actually going to say while you were on the concept of the Red Bull drivers was that Freddie Rasmussen is actually on a bit of a mad one at the minute.
Tom, we'll come to you. Put your arm down. We can see you.
Just ignoring that. But yes, Freddie Rasmussen on a bit of a mad one. I believe it's 6 consecutive podiums he's on right now. Started off with a race win, then a couple of second places, and then a couple of third places, which he did tweet about, and he was really disappointed. I feel like I should just come to Tom, but
no,
anyway.
I think we should ignore him now.
Freddie Rasmussen has now...
There's no way he can back this. He's going to switch between screens.
I think we're finally seeing it. Tom Deacon's lost it.
Yeah.
He really
Amazing.
has. Anyway, Freddie Rasmussen has equalled Jarno Opmeer's record of 6 consecutive podiums. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if he can continue that. Now, Tom, I feel like you're about...
I've forgotten now.
No, we'll let him sit. We'll let him sit. Because I was going to say, with those 6 consecutive podium finishes, how many of them were first places, do we know?
Just a one.
Just one. So 5 times his webcam has been hit out of those 6 podium finishes. Tom?
I was just going to say this is Freddie Rasmussen's statistical data. It's basically his worst Grand Prix. This one is his worst circuit. So I just sort of put in a bit of something in the mix just to say I don't think he's going to do that well.
That's what you disrupted the entire show.
And I regretted it. The more I did it, the more I regretted it. But this is Freddie Rasmussen's least favourite track. Look out for that. Will he make Q3?
There you go. Perfectly teed up. Thank you, Tom. 7 minutes and 46 seconds remaining.
The old classic say the lap time when you don't know how to get out of trouble. We've all been there, mate.
Yeah, well, you just got to stop Tom Deacon talking sometimes, don't you? But no, it's great. Alessio Di Capua currently on soft tyres, and this may well be the first representative lap time we see. He's already put a 106.4 on the leaderboard. How's he doing? Let's have a look at the live timing. Alessio Di Capua, if it ever loads. There you go, 16.4 for the first sector. Not exactly setting the world alight, and there you go. So you can see he is just getting out of the way now of some of the other drivers. Di Capua, of course, getting a shot earlier on in the season, maybe not performing to the standards he would have hoped for. He was in the Challenger Series. And here is Marcel Kiefer, currently top of the standings. This is, as much as this is an amazing performance from Marcel so far, Red Bull also be like, why now?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in all honesty, racing teams are like that. You do well, you pull a performance out of the bag, and then suddenly you are greeted with the message of where's this been all season? Because that's how lovely they are in motor racing. But equally, at the moment, he's looking a good bet. We're just cycling through. The nonsense is just because we're waiting for the good stuff. But the good news is the good stuff is not too far away, Matt Gallagher.
Oh, we love it. Fastest in the middle sector is Kiefer. This could be a 106 flat if he comes over the line. Oh, it is. What a prediction. 106.078 for Marcel Kiefer.
Congratulate yourself mid-sentence.
I just did. So Freddie Rasmussen lost a huge amount of time there.
Yeah. The moment for Freddie.
I imagine he may well peel straight back into the pits, and he does. What a shame for Freddie.
Wow.
How was his lap looking up until then? Not great, actually. It was about, well, just under 2/10 down in the middle sector of Kiefer. So Rasmussen struggling. Longuet, how's he going to do?
Longuet. Will he hit the front? Let's find out. The answer is no.
P2. P2, though. That's a very good lap from Longuet. Half a tenth back from Marcel Kiefer, looking like the man to beat currently in this qualifying session. Jarno Opmeer needs to get out of Q2. That's all he wants to do here. Comes over the line. Oh, it's only 7th for Jarno.
7th. 4 times this year he's fallen at this hurdle. The problem for him is Danny Moreno goes in P3. The problem for the championship battle, if you're looking for one, is that Freddie Rasmussen has had that moment coming out of the last real corner on the racetrack. And if there's pressure for Opmeer, it's slightly eased by the fact that Rasmussen is down there in P14. And for whatever reason, he doesn't get on with this circuit. Now would be a great time to change that. Can he crack the code of Interlagos in time to put Otmar under pressure?
So, just getting up to 5 minutes left in this Q2 session. Marcel Kiefer crawling into the pits, Nick. Looking very good, isn't he, Marcel? Nicholas as well. Danny Moreno up there. Could we see Danny Moreno almost get Jarno Otmar out of Q2? That could be something that we watch in these final runs. But right now, Danny looking like looking like the more confident Mercedes driver. He's half a tenth clear of Jarno Otmar, and yet there's 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers between them. So it just is Brazilian Grand Prix qualification, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, to be fair. But
No, I mean, look at that. Look at the difference between the sectors, and that's between 3rd and 8th. What nonsense is this?
yeah, that's
Brilliant.
incredible stuff.
Brilliant.
And
Do the job.
as you said, Moreno's looking so much more confident.
Well, you look at the position, you go, oh, P3, lovely stuff, and then you go, wait a second. But that is, I mean, how do you learn from that either? You know, you come into the pits, right, team, where am I losing time? Well, you made the smallest ever correction that you can't even see on the footage.
And they won't even feel 0.02 of a tenth.
Rasmussen would have felt that mistake out the final corner there. That was a big one in terms of F1 Esports.
Yeah, he dropped a right rear wheel on the grass, and lit it up a little bit. So yeah, he's under pressure, is old Rasmussen. But yeah, let's see. He's got a lot of work to do, I would say.
A lot of work to do. Tom, you've just been told to put your hands down. How are you feeling over there?
They weren't even up. In life, you've got to learn from your mistakes. My point wasn't good enough. It didn't deserve
Put
that
your lights on.
shenanigan.
Put your lights on.
Yeah, we need the lights.
Get the lights on.
You don't have that many.
Bring us the
family
lights.
functions.
The lights are on.
Yeah. This is the kind of interlude we need.
Yeah.
And we've needed it all season long when they go in this sort of lull period.
Yeah.
Whilst Tom does the decorative stuff on his jumper, Steph, have you noticed anything else in this qualifying session?
I haven't, but I will give you a little bit of a look. Freddie Rasmussen is the person under pressure because he is currently all the way down in P14. So it's going to come very much down to this final run for him. As Tom was saying before, his point that was not good enough, that this is Freddie's worst circuit. So to qualify well, we'll probably be putting him in the best position for the race. So do you know what? He just needs to get into Q3 and then everything will work out, I think, Freddie. I hope for you, because I would like a really good championship fight tonight.
Tech support, over and out.
You said that.
You should have
last
turned the
time,
lights
pretty
off at the time
Yeah.
of which you said that. That would have been perfect. Right, so we are now into the business end of Q2.
Probably
And-
a good thing.
Yeah, very good thing for everybody watching, I'm sure. But of course, with Freddie down in 14th, we've seen so many times how quickly that can change. It's not like that is a running trend of form for Freddie. It's just a difficult Q2. But we've seen so many late laps that change the whole complexion of qualifying. And I'd expect the same from Freddie in the Red Bull.
So let's measure it out. How much further are we expecting everyone to step forward here? Because we're looking at Freddie Rasmussen on a 106.3. So he's got to take a step forward. How far has that step forward got to be? 10th and a half?
Well, I think he's going to have to slot in behind Longuet, I think, if he's going to feel confident. At 106.1, I think you're going to be feeling like you're going to be seeing Q3. I imagine at the end of Q2, you could be dipping into the 105.9s if it's a really good lap time, because we do see a ever steady track evolution throughout qualifying. And we already seen a 106.0 from Marcel at the start of this session. He's in the pits, so is Longuet. Third all the way down are out for their final laps. Joni Tormula riding on board. Bit of momentum with Joni at the moment. You'd expect maybe another Q3 appearance for this final race.
Yeah, he's been driving well, hasn't he, in this grand finale couple of races. So far, so good for him into turn 1. Turn 2's looking pretty strong as well, nice and smooth from Joni. And we're going to minimise the distance between the left-hand side of the track and the right now. Sending it into the left-hander. And where are we in terms of delta? I can't see my eyesight.
He was
isn't as good
15
now.
thousandths down on his previous best in the first sector. So he needs to see improvements because he's currently in 12th and not making it through to Q3. This middle sector needs to be pretty mega. This is where the time is won and lost. This corner in particular, you've seen some drivers, Nick, haven't you, go from 3rd all the way to 5th. Joni decides only with 4th through that corner. So slight different driving styles.
Yeah, so Brendan Lee did 4th. I've seen other drivers go from 3rd to 5th, and Joni did 4th.
There's the improvement Joni Tormula's looking for. He's the 10th up now on his 106.321. Alex, we may well be seeing an improvement from Joni.
plenty of personal bests put on the board as well. So real pressure on Freddie Rasmussen as we go over the line. Marcel Kiefer is fastest. Joni Tommela is in fifth
Haddad's
position.
gone second.
Yeah, Haddad with the fastest final sector of the session so far. Here's the man who was on pole in Imola looking to get up the order. It's sixth position for him. Sebastian Job has just put the fastest middle sector of the race, of the session, I should say, in so far. We're on board with him at the moment. Rasmussen improving sector 1. Well, it's decent. It's decent for a first sector time. Let's see where Sebastian Job goes over the line, up to second place. And now Jarno Opmeer, look, he's dropping down at the moment. So this lap needs to count for the championship leader. He's going to cut the beam. He's going to take P3, and the banana skin has been avoided for one championship contender. How about the other one? Freddie Rasmussen trying to get himself through into Q3. He needs this at the very least. Freddie Rasmussen under pressure delivers ahead of his championship rival. Did we ever doubt him? Not at all. P3, he's going to get himself through at the moment. Finding themselves in the drop zone, Moreno, Blakely, Barry Burmond in the drop zone, unbelievable. Then Weigang and Tig Kapua has gone over the line. There are improvements. There are improvements for Lucas Blakely, who goes up into P1 for the time being. Danny Moreno's in the pits. Danny Moreno is going to be eliminated at this stage, and now it's Joshua Dowo who's been knocked down as well into the drop zone as the checkered flag is out, as Q2 is completed, and we've lost a further 5 cars, including, Danny Moreno would expect definitely to get through there.
Yep, that's a small blow for Mercedes and Jarno Opmeer in the sense that he would have liked to have his teammate Danny Moreno alongside him at the front of the grid. But, it just shows how such small margins. 106.071 the fastest. And in 10th place, a 106.175. So 1/10, just over, between the top 10. And to be fair, then a gargantuan gap of half a tenth to Joshua Dowo in P11.
Yeah.
Schutt doing a pretty decent job in P12. Moreno, as we've mentioned, Weigang 14th, and Tig Kapua. He actually invalidated a 106.098, which would have put him 6th. So that he's going to be kicking himself there, and that would have dropped Tommela out. But instead, Tommela making it through to the top 10 again and continuing that good run of form.
Yeah, great job from him. But I've got to say, Sebastian Job is the biggest surprise. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm sure he's heard that a million times in his life.
Can't just say just the job every time he appears on the screen.
But he's, honestly, that's the biggest surprise of the session, and well done to him.
Yeah, and Blakely topping that session in the end and kind of coming out firing, just as Steph. You did say that, didn't you, that Blakely would come out and go for pole position?
Yes, I did say that, but that's not who I want to talk about right now. I actually want to speak a word on Joshua Dowo because this is the first time that he's appeared and he's not actually made it into Q3. However, I do feel like him breaking that record might also end up with him breaking his record of not actually picking up any points in the races he's appeared at. So this is the start of something new.
So you feel like he had to do worse in qualifying in order to do
well
better in the race?
Yes,
okay.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
That's logic. Tom, how have you found that Q2 session?
Epic stuff. Sorry to see the Alfa Romeo boys leave and not make their mark. Alessio Di Capua, I think the highest he's had this season in terms of results is 16th, I believe. So for him, yeah, I mean, it was a chance. He maybe getting the points and prove to other teams he's worth picking up out of that Williams roster.
Absolutely. Now, our predictions, guys. How are we feeling? Confident after seeing those first couple of qualifying sessions, or would you want to mix it up a little bit?
No, confident. Supremely confident.
You'd just back it no matter what, even if your 4 drivers were out.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the drivers that were eliminated.
They might be. I can't remember who I picked. Let's find out.
It's been a long season, hasn't it, Alex? Yeah. Let's take a look and see who has been eliminated. Idowu, Schutt, Moreno, Weigang and Di Capua. Your 5 not making it through to Q3. And, well, none of them made it into the point ones, as I did mention, which was a complete, throwing caution to the wind and just going for it. But, 106.1 was what we're looking for. What we're looking for qualifying pole in Q3. Nick, what's your prediction? We didn't do that yesterday. Let's predict pole. And I think we have to go to the decimal point here.
Yeah, I reckon it's going to be a 105.910.
Lovely. Alex?
925.
Okay, and I'm going to go for an 879.
Wow.
There you go. Let's get your 2 as well whilst we're waiting for Q3 to start. Tom and Steph, what's your predictions for quality?
879.
I feel like you're all a bit bold. I don't know if I'd go that low.
I'm just going to give
Tom
my first
Deacon
three
definitely will go that low.
I'm going to give my
Given
first
the
three
content of
numbers
this
of
show.
my pin number. So 825. I'm
Okay.
not telling you the last one.
That's the third and fourth. Did you see what I did there?
What did you go for, Steph?
Scam.
Sorry.
No, I'm not making a choice.
Okay, fine.
Tech support says
Don't
no.
play ball.
Tech support
That's fine.
says no.
But you're
Okay.
tech support though.
Yeah, if we ask for help, we get it. No.
and
Okay.
Tom's giving you his answer today.
825.
Just Tom.
So, yeah.
Good stuff.
I concur.
I've asked for all these predictions and I've forgotten all of them already. So let's focus in on Q3 now. We're underway, the final qualifying session of the year. Lucas Blakely looking very good in Q2. Can he take top spot in Q3 and secure such a great championship challenge from Lucas? Of course, he cannot fight for the driver's title this evening, but he'd want to go out on a bang, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and he can hold his head up after a superb campaign. And this looks like a very tidy lap indeed. Yeah, I mean, this is all gathered together at the moment. Nick, it's looking excellent.
He is looking really, really good. I couldn't believe how much curb he took in turn 3. Slightly a tiny bit wide, I would say, there, and struggled for traction. So it's sort of unraveling a little bit in the middle sector, but not enough, I would say, for him to be upset about it. But yeah, it looks like a pretty strong lap going through the left-hander now, and you see how close he'll get to the pit wall, minimise all of that distance.
I think that would suggest as
I
well.
was wrong.
Yeah,
I was very, very wrong. Straight to the pit lane.
With the corrections we've saw, that is essentially, obviously, leaning towards a scrub set of tyres, of course, not as much grip. But that is, a big mistake in their eyes. Losing a little bit of traction is the half a tenth, the tenth that they cannot afford to lose.
It's not even a tenth. That wouldn't have even been a tenth.
Not even that.
And
not
that
even
wasn't
that.
enough,
But still enough to probably lose 5 positions. So
Yeah.
there you go. So there's still a lot of drivers in the pits. They're not bothering with that scrubbed tyre run, apart from Daniele Haddad, who's going to give us a nice little run. He's
And
currently
a
on
good
his
job
outlap.
from him, by the way, being in the top 10.
You're still trying to cash in on those.
No, I'm
these
honest.
helpful
I'm
tokens.
being serious. It's a very good performance.
Oh, yeah,
P6,
absolutely.
P6 in Q2. So good for him to be in the top 10.
Yeah, and he's been part of a team now where Lucas Blakely is very much, as we've said, fought for the title for a lot of the season. You'd like to think that he'd be able to learn a bit from Lucas as well, and Aston Martin in general can take more steps forward into next year because they've made such leaps and bounds this year that you'd have to think it's a great platform for Daniele Haddad or someone else to come in and help Lucas to really mount a team's challenge as well.
Yeah, because there are always going to be those races where you need to lean on your teammate. The one we always go back to is Austria. Last year when we saw the Red Bulls work brilliantly together in a race they should have lost. They worked together and they won it. So that's the sort of thing that can swing a team's championship your way on that sort of day, and then can get one of your drivers into championship contention. So yeah, it's something for Daniele to take that step forward. He's been doing an extremely good job all the way through this qualifying hour. Mixed season has always got it through into Q2 and occasionally made Q3, and so he'll be looking for his best today, trying to throw it into the top 5.
So now we can see that Haddad is not pushing. He has just decided to abandon that lap, maybe messed up the centre S's just a tiny bit, and he will, I'm sure, filter back into the pits at the end of that lap. We've got a lot of drivers out there preparing for theirs. Marcel Kiefer, let's take a look at his lap. Alex Jakes, I want to hear some beautiful commentary because it's Christmas and
Well,
it's the end of the season.
bad luck. You should have asked a couple of months ago when my
go.
brain still worked. Under 7 minutes to go then, at this evocative venue that we all know, that we all love. We've made our way down to the lakes. We're rising up the hill. Fedadura now. Look at the speed he takes through here. Marcel Kiefer has been swapping P1 along with Nicolas Longuet. But remember, any minor error, even something that doesn't really look like a normal error, can cost you here. And will he be able to put one on the board? Will he throw down the gauntlet for everyone else? Daniele Haddad has completed his lap time. It's a 15.3 on the board for the time being. This circuit is done before you know it, but this corner is crucial because every metre of momentum that you take through here, you are taking all the way up the hill with the walls close and the drivers deliberately close to the inside. The hard work has been done. Now you're shifting, foot to the floor, looking up. What's the lap time? Let's find out as we cut the beam. It's faster and it's a 1:06. That is a 1:06.1 from Marcel Kiefer, so room for improvement. Let's go on board with his teammate, chasing an unlikely title today. Can Freddie Rasmussen finally step up and win the Drivers' Championship? That's a lap time that puts him P2 at the moment.
Sebastian Job now over the line, looking very impressive in this qualifying session. He goes third fastest, just behind Freddie Rasmussen. Longuet goes to the top once again, 1:06.1. from Nicholas Longay, and there it is. Lucas Blakely over the line, and he does. He's only 7th at the moment with a 106.354. Jarno Watmir, currently no lap time on the board. How's his lap time looking at the moment? It's steady. It's not going to be troubling Nicholas Longay at the top, but he may well come over the line to set it anyway as a banker. Jarno Watmir, the reigning champion, goes P3 with a 106.209, but fully expect to see the big boy lap times at the end of this session.
We will indeed. Alvaro Caraton, he's been on pole before in this championship, and he's got worked super aggressive through there and pushing his way all the way through, waiting as he locks on the steering angle and just pushes the car through the corner. Longay, Kiefer, Otmir, Rasmussen, the top 4 at the moment. Fine margins that you would expect, but Longay and Kiefer seem to understand how to unlock this circuit like the others can't at the moment, and those are good opening salvos. Let's complete the lap then with Caraton to the line, 200 miles an hour across the line, and he goes up to a solid 6th place. He'll be happy with that, especially when you consider the drivers he's ahead of.
And when you consider as well how poor his qualifying has been. I said just before qualifying that he needed to pick up the pace a little bit after being knocked out in Q1, and he's done exactly that in Q3. And doing a great job for that Williams team.
As high as 5th this year, as low as last.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of year he's had in quali.
Which is, not ideal for the team's championship over the course of a season, but it also means that when he is on the pace, he has to utilise and get as many points as he possibly can.
Yeah, I think P6 for him at the moment is a really, really good job. Yeah, we've seen him take pole position before and be a very, very strong contender during the race as well. So now it's going his way, I would say, in P6. Hopefully he can continue the strong form of today so far and have a decent result.
What about Barry Burramund? It's been a bit of a quiet qualifying session for him so far for this particular Brazilian Grand Prix. Are we expecting a miracle lap towards the end, or do you feel like this is maybe just one where he'll just settle for another Q3 appearance?
Do you want me to answer that one?
One of you.
Do you want you to answer that?
I mean, I didn't tee myself up. I mean, tech support could have come in either.
I was waiting.
Yeah.
I've got other points to make. You just throw over this way, and I'm ready for you.
All right.
Just
off you go.
wait. Actually, before we go to Tom, just on the Barry situation, he's going to fully send it. He's going for it. He's not settling for another Q3 appearance? No, that man has the best qualifying record of the year. He's going for pole.
I mean, he's got a yoya, for goodness sake.
He does have a
They
yoya.
don't just give them out to
Okay.
anyone.
But now he's got the yoya, you never know how anyone will act.
That might be it.
The yoya
It might
can
be
change
motivation.
things.
I've got the yoya on the shelf. What else do I need in life?
Tom, what are your other points whilst we wait for some flying laps?
Okay, so you were talking about the team championship. Aston Martin currently in 3rd position with 153 points. If ever there was a time you needed Daniele Haddad to actually turn up and get some points on the board, today is that day because 36 points behind is Alpine in 117 points. They're in 5th at the moment. But with FDA having both of their drivers in non-scoring points position, that could mean Alpine could go up. Will they get 3rd place? That depends on how well Daniele Haddad and Lucas Blakely do today. But it just gives a little bit of edge to who's going to get a larger share of that $750,000 prize pool.
Yeah, we will definitely watch out for that battle. I think, the biggest one's probably FDA and Alpine, and we will keep an eye on it. Both Astons being in Q3 is a very good job from them, and will hopefully secure them P3 unless something crazy happens, and don't discount it, it's Brazil. Barry Burramund, we just spoke about him. What kind of lap time will he put on the board?
Should we find out?
we
Down
should.
into the centre S's, no margin for error. How much are you prepared to push? How much are you prepared to risk? Not attacking enough, you're going to be in 10th position. 2 attacking, you're going to get the time validated, and you're going to be in 10th position. So you're going to have to deliver. There's going to be fine margins. The qualifier of the year, the driver who has been absolutely outstanding.
He's backed out.
And he's backed
Out of it. I think he may have invalidated. I think he went a little bit too wide there, and he is.
It's a sad end for a brilliant qualifying campaign, but it's laid a foundation for great things to come.
And he might have another go.
And he does have time. He does have time, but the tyres will not be in the best of nick. So Barry Burramund, 8th at the start of it, looking for something special at the end. And now we focus elsewhere because there's plenty out there beginning to attack the lap, and we will see whether Freddie Rasmussen or Jarno Opmeer, the last two championship contenders, who's going to line up ahead. It does seem to be that Kiefer and Longay are in a league of their own at the moment.
Yeah, Kiefer's had a pretty decent first sector, a couple of hundredths away from what we've seen. Actually, Blakely's done a brilliant first sector, nearly a tenth quicker than what Kiefer has managed. So Lucas Blakely really turning up the wick here. Marcel Kiefer, we'll see how his lap time's doing in a couple of corners as we get that middle sector split. But it is Blakely currently fastest through the first sector. Tormler's done a good first sector, so has Longay.
Yeah.
He's going to be one of the last drivers over the line as Longay. Are we going to get, just like last year, Nicholas Longay over the line to take pole? We will see. But Marcel Kiefer up the hill. What's he going to manage?
Here we go then. Marcel Kiefer knows he's got to take a step forward here to put the pressure on because Blakely and Longay are improving. So can Kiefer take pole position? He can. That's the time to beat. But it's still in the sixes. Will we go to the 1:05? So let's find out on board with Lucas Blakely. The answer is no! He's missed out by 6,000ths of a second. Freddie Rasmussen looking to trump them all. Can he do so? No, Freddie Rasmussen stays in fifth position. That's not what he needed. Jarno Opmeer's ahead of him. Joni Tormela's P3. Then it's Caraton. Sebastian Job looking for an outstanding lap, getting one. In fourth position, here's the man whose name we want to shout. There it is for Nicholas Longay, who's done it once again. That's an outrageous lap from Longay. Look at how far ahead he is compared to everyone else. Longay, Kiefer, Blakely and Opmeer. Oh, that is an outstanding, outstanding lap for the Alpine man, and despite everyone you can see, despite all the effort of the championship contenders, it's the man whose name we shouted last year getting the volume all over again. In a session of fine margins, he's done it by over a tenth of a second.
Wow. He is a Brazil master. Over a tenth clear. That's enormous around Brazil.
That's very impressive. A very, very, very impressive lap. And it just shows, when I said Longay comes out of the woodwork,
he came out,
and he came straight out to P1. What a great job from him. Well done.
I was 11 thousandths off.
Oh.
11 thousandths
The fact you remember.
No, I had it in my ear.
Take this, it's the world's smallest violin.
Oh, thank you. I'm not crying about it, I'm celebrating. That was a crazy end to Q3. I think Freddie Rasmussen, of course, with that title challenge that we were hoping that he would maybe mount for the entertainment factor later this evening. He's got a difficult job all the way down. I think it was 9th in the end for Freddie Rasmussen.
9th in the end. He just doesn't like this circuit.
No.
I mean, good luck building that up later, Tom. But he just does not like this circuit.
And for us commentating.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. By the time they get to us, we're just absolutely hyped. But
yeah.
No, he just doesn't get on.
Jarno Opmeer is a thoroughly nice chap, as well as an unbelievably talented driver. And when you heard him last night saying,
well, I tell you what, Freddie just doesn't like Brazil, and I'm pretty confident there. You knew, to hear him say that, you knew that we were going to maybe see a pace differential. But Rasmussen, 9th position, he just needs a curveball. He needs something extraordinary. It's Brazil, it's F1 Esports. We'll wait and see, but that's one hand on the trophy for Jarno Opmeer.
Interlagos, in between lakes, could we see a little bit of rain?
We could well see a bit of rain.
Hopefully changeable conditions. We want something where, you know, it can go from dry to wet or wet to dry. That's definitely the best races we've seen. Actually, speaking of Freddie Rasmussen, let's take a look at how he reacted after that qualifying session. Maybe we're going to see a 7th or 6th webcam destruction. Let's see. He comes over the line. Of course, didn't improve really at all, did he?
No.
Which was a shame. And
bye, mate.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
I mean, does he have a webcam sponsorship?
Yeah.
Or does he pay for his?
No, I think he probably buys like a pack of 16 at the start of the year. You know, bulk buys.
Maybe, that is crazy. But it's a shame for Freddie. Other drivers to speak about, Tormela and Job, 5th and 6th place. That is an incredible performance at the end of the year.
I mean, Tormela's been in great form, and Job, at the end of his rookie season, just clearly relaxing, enjoying. It is the Yoya, isn't it? I didn't want to say it again, but it is the Yoya. A lot of people have mocked the Yoyas. Not me, not I, not here. But the Yoyas clearly mean a lot, and it's a step forward.
No, he's got one on the shelf.
Exactly.
He had it on the shelf.
Yeah.
It's given him that confidence.
That's it.
It's an amazing segue to our final Yoya of the year. Thank you, Alex. It's Driver's Driver of the Year. And it goes to Lucas Blakely. Who could it? It couldn't go to anyone else, could it really? Lucas has been unbelievable this season. He really may well kick himself a little bit, but of course, you know, it was so close yet so far, but it's such a step forward from last year, and he's very much thrust himself into the limelight.
He has indeed. As I've said, I've been super impressed with him, how he's applied himself, how he's improved himself, and it's great that his fellow competitors has seen that as
This
well.
in particular, Portimao, was probably one of the most impressive F1 Esports drives I've ever seen, where he just drove away from such a competitive field. He got it so right on that day, didn't he?
Yeah, step forward at the start of the year, and that was pure domination. He's a contender. We're going to be talking about him every time we go esports racing as a contender. That's what he's done this year. He deserves that Yoya.
Tom, Steph, thoughts on Lucas Blakely's performance this year?
I feel like Tom's a bit gutted because you were proper rooting for him since the beginning, weren't you? He was talking about the underdog, the first race, and he was... I feel like you're a bit heartbroken, aren't you?
I was
a little
heartbroken.
piece of you has died yesterday,
Well, no, it's
didn't
not
it?
died. It's just having a little sleep.
Okay.
But
next year.
It will wake up again for 2022 when I'm on the Lucas Blakely bandwagon. But he was gutted with the last two races, and then I guess this is a great way for Lucas to bow out for 2021 and say, look, I'm going to finish second and beat Freddie Rasmussen. This isn't his favourite circuit, so big up to Lucas Blakely.
And he'll be starting third for this evening's race. Plenty of opportunity from there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And qualifying is one thing, racing is another, and he's been very strong in all categories. The drivers ahead of him, maybe not so this season, so he's got an opportunity.
Speaking of this evening's races, let's take a look at the final showdown around Brazil, and you have to tune in 7:30 p.m. GMT for the final race of this amazing season, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Make sure you tune in then, because it will be chaos. I guarantee you that. Thank you to Tom, to Steph, to Alex, to Nick, and to you for watching at home and for watching this entire qualifying show season. It's been amazing to bring it to you. Make sure you tune in later this evening to see the final race of this F1 Esports season. See you then.